Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Right Click, hosted by yours truly. My name is Byrdman, and I'm really excited about this episode because this is going to be another off-script episode. So I hope you'll bear with me because this has potential to be one of my more aggressive, not mean, but aggressive episodes. Before we get into that, I do want to go ahead and let you know, as I promised a while back, we were starting on the Right Click Player 2 kind of new addition to the Right Click main episodes, and we've recorded 2 of them. As a matter of fact, the very first one was between myself and my wife. It's a sit-down. It's about an hour long. And it's just a sit down between me and her talking about gaming, talking about growing up gaming, all this good stuff. And it was a fantastic episode. If you haven't seen it, go check it out on Right Side Media or our YouTube channels or our website or this, that, and the other. It's all out there. And then the day after you're watching this, so i.e. Saturday, we will have episode number 2 out. Now, I don't intend necessarily for this to be an every week thing, just a nice addition onto the overall content coming from Right Click. And this particular episode is with a dear friend of mine. He goes by Chan Man, and it is a fantastic episode. It's closer to an hour and a half. But I think you're really going to like this one. We break down a lot of good stuff. We talk about some very important topics in the gaming industry, some of which we kind of hint at with what we're going to talk about here today. But I think it's a fantastic episode, to be honest with you. I'm excited for you guys to see it. But go check it out if you haven't seen the first one with my wife. It was fantastic. That said, I think it's about time to move into what we're talking about today. Now, this is actually probably going to be a one-topic episode. Typically, I like to bounce around 2 different things happening in the gaming industry and all this, that, and the other. But sometimes we just need to have a conversation. So let's have a conversation. This game that we're talking about is called Dragon Age: The Veilguard. As a matter of fact, I'll go ahead and show it to you here. This is Dragon Age, and it's an immersive, quote-unquote, an immersive single-player RPG. And I'm just going to go ahead and level with you guys. I was very, very excited about this game. I was very excited. At first glance, I honestly, I didn't really hear a lot about this until right before all the controversy came up. And honestly, to me, it just looked like a pretty darn cool, it looks like a cool fantasy RPG. I mean, to me, this kind of stuff looks sick. It's about dragons and all that good stuff. I mean, it really is not, honestly, it was not seeming like something of any like high depth or anything like that. To me, it just seemed like a good RPG, a good time killer, really. You know, sometimes I like to have games that I can sit down and just enjoy a long-standing narrative with beautiful world, all that kind of stuff. And honestly, everything I saw about this game before the controversy kicked up kind of led down that path, if we're being completely honest. I was actually very excited to say, okay, this looks like just a good kind of generic, let's say, Space Marines or Black Myth Wukong kind of vein, where you could just go and have fun. Now, here's where we go off the rails a little bit. I'm about to be reading you an article from a website that I have never seen before. It's called thatpartplace.com. And I just want to go ahead and put this out there. This was written by a gentleman named John F. Trent. I have zero, and I mean zero, understanding of who this gentleman is. All I have as a frame of reference is this article. And John F. Trent, if you're watching this, let's do some content together, because this article, props, props, because this came out just shy of a week ago, at time of recording. And I don't know how else to put this, but this game has launched a conversation between the far left and the far right. Actually, hold on. That's not fair. It is not the far left and the far right. It is the very far left and all friggin' normal people. I'm sorry. I'm at this point where I don't feel like, I feel like if we're going to sit here and mince words, we're doing the world we're doing injustice, frankly. Because at first glance, this can be glossed over. The main issue with this game can be glossed over. And there's going to be times throughout this article that I'm probably going to break from the article and discuss my thoughts on it. But with that, this article's titled, Dragon Age, the Veilguard character creator has option for top surgery scars. Here we go again. I'm sorry. I don't really know what to say at this point other than here we go again. I'm just going to go ahead and start reading this article. BioWare, the creator of this game, has allowed influencers and media outlets to showcase the game's character creator and is even woker than early reports about it, as it includes a feature to toggle on or off top surgery scars. You heard that right. Back in July, it was revealed by Game Informer's Wesley LeBlanc, who previewed the character creator, revealed it had inclusivity at its heart. He wrote, at the heart of it is inclusivity. Veilguard game director Corinne Bush tells me before letting me guide her through creating my own character. Okay. This is going to be one of the initial break off from the article spots here. Inclusivity at its heart. That was what the heart of development was. I want to make that point very clear. This is coming from the game's director, Corinne Bush. There's going to be a lot of people, and you'll probably see in some of my other examples and some other pieces I have here. There's a lot of people that go, it's just a character creator. It lets people be who they are. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's an option. You get to be, in this game, who you are. Now, I appreciate that take. It's very surface level. It's very, very surface level. From a group of surface level-minded people, and that's okay. That's okay. But this game was developed with inclusivity at its heart, which means it was not developed to be a outstanding game, or beautiful world, or well playing. The gameplay loop, not at the forefront. At its heart was inclusivity. Now you can sit here and tell me, okay, well it's just an option so people can be themselves. Okay, we can have that conversation, but that's not the conversation I'm having. Inclusivity at its heart. That has nothing, and I truly mean this, absolutely zero to do with how the game is and how the game plays. It has nothing to do with that. You have told me, Corinne Bush, game director of Dragon Age Veilguard, you have told me, without any minced words, that at the heart of this game was inclusivity. You'll notice that I've said that about 4 times now. Why? Why is that? I'm going to challenge a little bit here. Because this is probably the most prime example of why I do exactly what I do. Why I have friends that are starting to get into this and do exactly what we do here at Right Click. Exactly what they do overall with Right Side Media. This is a piss poor attempt at creative direction, because it is creative direction that is veiled in this weak facade as game development. It's trash. This is trash. And I'm not even targeting the they, them, the transgender community when I say this. That's not even my intent. We'll get there. We'll have that conversation. We'll have the social conversation. But right now, what I'm talking about is the fact that this game had zero desire to present you a well-playing, well-polished, exciting experience. It had no intent to give you a good game that you could immerse yourself in. The character creator, you can immerse yourself in that. Why? At its heart, inclusivity. Which means a lot of thought went into the character creator. Now, I want to make something very clear here. This is a game that's based around magic. It's complete nonsense. And that says a lot, doesn't it? This has nothing to do with game development. This has nothing to do with them wanting to present you with a polished product that you could enjoy and be proud of, and proud of the achievements that you have in the game, or the time that you spend with friends, or the time, any of it. None of it matters to these developers because they just want to check the box of inclusivity because it makes people warm and fuzzy. And with this, Wesley LeBlanc went on to say, the character creator allows players to choose between 4 different races: elves, Cunnery, I don't know, humans, and dwarves. It also, quote, allows for more detailed looks at each, and the ability to choose pronouns with she, her, he, him, and they, them separately from gender, select different body types, and more. Furthermore, the character creator also features full nudity because the game is, quote unquote, a mature RPG, according to Bush, who is a man pretending to be a woman. This is from this article. Apparently, the full nudity is needed to choose your character's undergarments. You're hearing this correctly. LeBlanc also revealed you can finally dye your hair with non-traditional colors. Man, isn't it interesting how it always leads back to the same colored hair crazies? Anyways, he concluded revealing that there are 4 voices that one can choose from. They include English masculine, English feminine, American masculine, and American feminine. The pitch of the voices can be adjusted. Furthermore, it has been revealed by multiple YouTubers that the character creator does include pronouns and allows players to select man, woman, and non-binary for gender. On top of this, it has been revealed that the character creator has an option to toggle top surgery scars. I want to talk real quickly about the pronouns thing, because in an attempt to be as brain dead as possible with the use of the English language, and to make continued justifications on why they are bastardizing the English language, you can see here in one of the appearance presets, in the identity column, you have pronouns and gender: he/him, non-binary. And if you adjust this and it says non-binary, devoid of gender, it still says nonsensical pronouns. Carrying on with the article, it is abundantly clear that Dragon Age the Veilguard is political and ideological propaganda disguised as a video game, and its primary objective does not appear to entertain customers or provide them with an escape or any kind of fun, but it is to indoctrinate them with transgender ideology. The game is clearly attempting to normalize this ideology by including top surgery scars in-game, as well as all the various other customization options that allow players to blur the lines between male and female. And there's more to this article, but this is one of the things that I'm derailing for a reason on, because this is probably the biggest thing. I'm going to read this back to you. This is again from this article. It is abundantly clear that Dragon Age the Veilguard is political and ideological propaganda disguised as a video game, and its primary objective does not appear to entertain customers or provide them with an escape or any kind of fun, but it is to indoctrinate them with transgender ideology. I want to break this down because this is a phenomenal summation of my opinion on this game. And not just this game, what we have done to modern media as a whole. And I'm going to appease this crowd, and I'm going to take this whole last line out of, but is to indoctrinate them with transgender ideology. I'm gonna take that out. I'm going to take that out. So this reads as political and ideological propaganda disguised as a video game, and its primary objective is not to appear to entertain customers or provide them with an escape or any kind of fun. Just going to take that, because that's exactly how I feel about a lot of games that are going this route. Your intent was not to make a good game. Your intent was to promote your individual narrative. So you can then justify the character creator with a bunch of nonsense in it. And by the way, in case anybody was curious, a man can't be a woman, and a woman can't be a man. This is not some Matt Walsh or or Daily Wire Charlie Kirk argument here, right? Like, I'm not trying to catch anybody in a what is a woman comment here. There are biological lines, and to sit here and argue, oh, well, things can be outside of biology. No, they can't. Shut up, because this is not how real life works. And the more we sit here and say, oh, we'll allow this little bit, and then we'll allow this little bit. This is what I've talked about every friggin' episode so far. We shouldn't have baked this cake. We allowed things to go just like you would not allow your child to continue repeated patterns of action. You wouldn't allow them to do this little thing that could turn into this, that could turn into this. That's how we now view our society, in this childlike manner, which is why we sit here and we have things that have been legitimate and wholesome pissed upon, and we get this. Because the things that we enjoyed as escapes or fun are no longer a vessel for escapism or enjoyment. They are a vessel for the message. That is the point now. I don't get to boot up a game and just enjoy the story. If it's fiction and it's just fine. I have zero problem with fiction. But if you are going to inject your real life narrative and push a real life point into a fictionalized game, you are inherently saying that I no longer abide by the rules of real life and the rules of fiction. I have combined the two. And isn't it funny, because we have so many people doing that today with the transgender push of this community? Because you can't, as a man, be a woman. You can't, as a woman, be a man. Why? Because that's fiction. But we have taken words and definition and the English language and twisted it for our own individual fictionalized narrative. And then we have taken fictionalized media, i.e. video games, movies, etc., and inserted this new bastardized context of the English language. And this is what you get. You are not allowed to just have an escape and have some fun. The very thing that video games were supposed to be. You don't get to do that anymore. And again, taking out the indoctrination with transgender ideology, it's not even about indoctrination anymore. We baked that cake long ago. No. Now what we see is people's, this is correct, ideological propaganda on display for all to see. This is on display in the, again, she made it very clear. The heart of this game was inclusivity. So it had nothing to do with presenting you a good product. If you've had a long day at work and you want to come home and escape into something that is not reality, well, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong, because this sure as all get out. This isn't reality. This is not reality. And it's funny, right? Because then you have the argument of, oh, well, this is just a game, right? It's just a fictional game. No. You have inserted your ideology into this game. And what are we left with? We're left with lies. We're left with indoctrination. We're left with, well, this was supposed to be a fun fictional thing, but now I've inserted nonsense into it, and now the lines are blurred, and you can't argue it because you're a bigot. It's true. And this article phenomenally goes on to say this ideology leads to destructive real-world behaviors. Archbishop Alexander Sample of the Archdiocese, I believe, of Portland, explains how adopting so-called quote-unquote preferred pronouns is the first step in the path to destruction. Quote, to some, supporting aspects of social transition may seem benign, even humane, such as using someone's preferred pronouns and actively affirming his or her perceived gender. However, while well-intentioned, This kind of endorsement may help shepherd a young person on a path of unnecessary medicalization. He's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Because this is what I've talked about so many times. We should not have baked that cake. But we did. It was well-intentioned off the start, was it not? It was well-intentioned. What don't you understand? This was well-intentioned. This is supportive. This is a good thing. And you are a bigot for saying otherwise. This person just feels what they feel. And it's on us to affirm that. Okay. If you really believe that. He continues, social transition is often the first step towards hormones and surgery. A 2020 survey of transgender and non-binary youth found that 64% of respondents who were either already receiving cross-sex hormones or desired to do so. Danish researchers who first used puberty blockers on gender dysphoric children found that the social transition increased the likelihood that dysphoria would persist and result in medicalization. Social transition can also include practices such as breast binding and genital tucking, both of which have been shown to have adverse effects on physical health, like testicular torsion and reduced fertility in males, as if this is a surprise, and abnormal lung function and back pain in females. Moreover, a 2020 study on the effects of social transition found that family and peer relations, but not social transition status, predicted psychological functioning. Man, isn't that something interesting? It's almost like we've been talking about that every time we talk about this subject. Every single time. But no. It's for their well-being. And you're a bigot because you don't. See, and this is the thing that gets me more than anything else, I think, in this. We have replaced logic with emotion. And I don't know what to tell you, but you cannot live life like that. That's just true. You can't live life like that. We have taken our culture and we have abolished individual responsibility. And this is what you get. This is what you get. The character creator is not the only example of this attempt at normalizing disordered and sinful behavior. The game's creative director, John Epler, previously confirmed that all of the companion characters in the game would be pansexual. Epler told Game Rant, quote, "There's a difference between player sexual and pansexual. All companions are canonically pansexual." And here we are again at bastardizing the English language. There's a difference between player sexual and pansexual. Bush made similar comments to IGN, the scourge of journalism. IGN's Alex Stedman reported, quote, "Bush insists that they're all specifically pansexual, and that might come through in what you learn about their backstories." Bush then explained their past experiences or partners, they'll reference them, and indeed who they'll become romantic with. He continued, for instance, "We saw Harding. I might be playing a straight male character flirting with her, but I choose not to pursue a romance. She might get together with Tosh, so my perception, my identity, has no bearing on their identities, and that comes through really strongly." He went on to detail, it's not until the later parts of the game where you really commit to romance, and it gets pretty spicy. Now listen, as far as this article goes with... what was it, the Archbishop, I think it was? I can't speak to any of this. This is not my vein of Archbishop Alexander Sample. I don't know anything about this. The realistic aspect of this is these studies that do show, like, this is a problem for developing individuals, for developing boys and girls. And what does this always lead back to? What does it always lead back to? Going after boys and girls, young children. Leave the kids alone. This isn't again, as I've said a million times, this is not controversial. You want it to be controversial so you'll get your way. Why? Because we have baked the cake that has allowed an entire subsect of culture to whine and complain until everybody else goes, oh my God, fine. And that's where we're at. This dysphoric anomaly in culture has been allowed by us who said, okay, screw it, and put their hands up and said, do whatever you want. And this is where we get this. This is where we get dysphoric children. This is where we set children up to be in a community with one of the highest rates of suicide known in history. But we're okay with social transition, with practices on children such as breast binding, genital tucking, has effects like testicular torsion and reduced fertility, abnormal lung function, back pain. Lord, this conversation's giving me back pain. This is the exact thing that I always talk about when I say we shouldn't have baked this cake. It's not about whether or not an individual is free to do what they want. By the way, can we stop using this as a way to argue this nonsense? Because saying, oh, they just need to do what they want. Okay. If you truly, and I mean this, if you truly believe at the end of the day that you as an individual are entitled to quote unquote do whatever you want, life is going to hit you so freaking hard that you are going to crumble. Because there is no instance of human life where you just simply get to do what you want. We have argued with morons for decades as a society about anti-government and I want to be an anarchist and all this kind of crap, man. We've seen these arguments and it never works out. And why doesn't it work out? Because it's not realistic. This just truly isn't how life works. You don't always get your way. Sometimes life gets you down. Sometimes life sucks. But you don't get to make life bend around you. That's not how life works. And we have allowed an entire culture, an entire generation to come up in this world where we get to say, no, you don't have to have any responsibility. The world will warp for you. And if you can sit here and look at this and then look at your children, look at the school systems, the education systems, the genuine statistics of actual real world lives falling to pieces, and be okay with pushing them in a psychological state that promotes self-mutilation and suicide, then the only thing, and I mean this wholeheartedly, the only thing that you have as an individual left to do is repent. Truly. And honestly, this is why we have such a pedophilia epidemic in this culture. Because we have allowed people to say, no, I know what's better for this child. Even though I don't know what my own gender is, which, by the way, look down. It's not complicated. And yes, there are anomalies, just like in everything else in biology. But no. Now we get to play and affect the lives of children. This is not how this works. And if this is the hill that I have to die on, by God, so be it. Because I've lost all patience. I see things on a day in and day out basis where people are okay with the mutilation of children. They're okay with the mutilation of the next generation. They're okay with pushing people into a position that puts them at a high risk for ungodly problems, physical and mental, and into potentially a place of suicide. This is what we have allowed to foster. This is what I mean when I say we never should have baked this cake. Because this is on us. And by the way, this is also on us to fix it. It's time to stop sitting on your hands. Fight the actual good fight. Just stand for an actual moral code. Because what this is amorality. This is the non-existence of a basis of morality. And that is a whole separate conversation for a whole separate podcast. I'm going to wrap this up quickly because I will rant for a long time about this. At the end of the day, you listening, you watching, it is on you just as much as it's on me. Protect children from this garbage. Protect the individual. Because you wonder why we have a mental health crisis? This garbage. This is why. And this is on you and this is on me. And I'm going to do my part. And I hope that you will do your part. And I can tell you right now that Right Side Media is doing its part. There are things in the background that you don't know about because we try to fight the good fight. You don't have to like it. And you and I can agree to disagree. And I will go on my merry way and be just fine with that. But I am not going to sit here idly by while bad things happen to kids that can't know the difference yet. That's on you, and that's on me. And I'm going to leave it at that. Go check us out on Right Side Media, as always. Go check us out on social media. There's link trees everywhere. I'm not going to sit here and plug stuff because this is something that we have to fix. And it's as simple as that. So I'm going to leave it at that. I hope you all enjoyed. Go check out tomorrow the newest episode of Right Click Player 2 with me and Chan Man. There's going to be more stuff in the hopper. We got about a half a dozen other people that are coming on to do all this kind of stuff over a long period of time. But I'm going to leave it at that. My name is Byrdman. This has been Right Click here at Right Side Media. Go check us out. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Go change the friggin' world, man. This is ridiculous. What are we doing?